welcome back to another Well-Aged Adventures. Today's episode, my 147 mile review. Why 147 miles? Well, that's what I hit on the odometer when I needed to get gas for the first time. So this was also my very first fill up. So in this video, I think I'll talk about my likes and my dislikes from what I've experienced in the 147 miles. So first, let's start with the likes. This bike is very easy to handle and very nimble, very light. I'm able to move it around the garage very easily. I can pick up the back end and swing it into a corner to get it even more tight in the garage. Since I'm packing up, getting prepped to move, I just don't have a lot of room to get our cars in now that winter's coming, and all my boxes. And this way I'm able to easily store everything. And it hasn't bothered my sciatica to move this bike around in the garage. I can easily do it. So that's like number one. Like number two, it doesn't really seem to bother my sciatica when I'm riding it. It's very maneuverable, takes corners well, it's very well balanced. And I've noticed, even though the suspension doesn't have the travel like some other bikes have, it's surprisingly good. It beats all of my scooters that I've had to date, and that's been a lot of scooters. And it definitely beat the Honda Navi's suspension. So for me, that's a plus. And I'm sure there's some aftermarket suspension out there that makes it even better. But I am just always amazed at how well it does with bumps and holes and bad roads and things. It seems to have plenty of speed to get me around my speed limit areas here in Syracuse. Since we have kind of a mixture of city life and farm life here, our speed limits are anywhere from 25 to 45, and it's able to do all of those speeds easily. I have not gotten over 50 miles an hour yet, but I haven't had a road yet that I could try that on. And even if I can't get over that, that's fine too. I have noticed that the speedometer is a couple of miles per hour shy of reality, at least according to the speedometer testing signs throughout the city. Seems to have enough acceleration, and I'm not nervous or scared riding it around. So overall, good bike for around town. It's easy to just get on and just ride and just enjoy whatever it is you're going to do, whether you're going to run to the store or if you're just going to go out sightseeing. So some of my dislikes so far with only 147 miles on it. The first one is rear view mirrors. They just aren't out far enough. You're going to want to spend your $10 and get you some mirror extensions just to make it safer. The next thing that I don't really like is how bright the instrument gauge isn't. So it's quite dim. It's an interesting looking LED, LCD, something type of display. It looks almost like the old liquid crystal watches that we had back in the 70s and 80s, or maybe 80s or 90s, whenever that era was. But you get out into the sunlight and it's really hard to see your gauges. Not that you really got to see much other than your speed, but yeah, it'd be nice if that was just a little bit brighter. I do know that they make a third-party odometer setup out there. It's about $300. I'll have to decide if the money is worth spending or not later. The next thing that I think could be a dislike, I need to get some more time in the saddle, is the saddle. It does seem a little hard, which is not uncommon for new bikes. I mean, they do break in a little bit. But more importantly, of the hardness, I think, is for me, is it needs to be about 2 inches longer. So if you look at the pictures of these bikes, they have this little like grab handle behind the seat, and I guess that's for if you have a passenger seat on the back, the passenger can grab onto that handle for safety. I don't know if it's necessarily a great design, but nonetheless, there it is. And I've seen some people complain about rough roading it and having their tailbones come down and hit that grab bar, and all of that could be eliminated, and the comfort of the bike could be made better if that seat was just 2 inches longer, so that you could adjust more on the bike. I can see now where taller riders struggle with this bike, because right now at my 5'11" and 32-inch inseam, I am sitting right on the edge of the back of the seat. I'm not touching that crossbar, or that bar, but I'm really close to it, and I am afraid that if I take some serious bumps that I'm going to be slamming on that. So that's my complaint about the seat so far. Okay, last but not least, the worst dislike that I have for this bike is the flip-flop shifter. You know, these bikes are Asian and made mainly for the Asian populace. Well, the Asian populace, they ride in flip-flops or sandals. So the bike's designed to push down with your feet all the time. There's no putting your toes underneath the shifter and lifting it. I mean, yes, you can do that, but it's a little bit awkward. And I've noticed that the bigger your shoe, I wear an 11.5 or 12, the worse it is to shift. And if you're wearing boots make it really awkward. I am actually better riding in my slimmest, narrowest shoes that I've got. And I do know that the models that are pre 2023, so the whatever year they started to 2022, they have a different motor in them. They have a JA55, and they make shifters that fit that, so you can go to a single toe shifter if you wanted to, and you can eliminate that back piece. The 23s and 24s and whatever years they're going to continue this, they use the JA65 motor, and it's just positioned a little bit differently, so those other shifters don't fit. And I've seen some videos where people like take off their flip-flop shifter and mangle them and bend them around and all make them work. I don't know what I'm going to do about that yet. It is my biggest dislike about this bike, because it just feels weird shifting and awkward, and my shifting timing is off because of it. You know, I go to flip my heel down, and I have to actually pick up my toes and put it on the peg, so that I've got some flexibility in my heel to actually hit that shifter. And sometimes I miss, and you know, maybe some of this is because I haven't had a shifting bike in 7 years. So I think it is something I can kind of get used to, but I don't know if I'll fully embrace the flip-flop shifter. Hopefully in time, maybe somebody will come up with an aftermarket that will shifter that will just be the shifter most of us are used to, and we can switch those out. So that's kind of it for my 147 mile review. I really do like this bike. My dislikes are very minor. Nothing's 100% in this world, so those few little dislikes are definitely not a reason to not want to own one of these. A lot of it is just getting used to, or some simple modifications to make them fit you personally. So again, really happy. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I've got lots of modifications and parts coming that I'll dive into later. You know, that's kind of the thing we do, is we take these things and make them our own. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'll share all of that in my videos. So right now it's time to just keep riding.